Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I am so honored. Hello, Ashley. Lovely to have you here. We have people join throughout the call, but Ashley, you're our first person. We thought we would start a little bit early in honor of you, and because I absolutely couldn't wait to have a conversation with one of my favorite one of the most dynamic women I know. No, you're a powerhouse, and I'm always in awe. And I'm not only are you a powerhouse, but everything you do with grace and style. And if you know me, you know that I appreciate the hell out of style. So I have got Anne Flosnik with us today. You guys, Anne has narrated maybe a zillion books and is an award-winning narrator with tenacity and guts. And she's one of the narrators that the thing I admire the most about you, and I don't know if I've told you this before, is that you were one of the lucky veteran narrators who, back in the golden days of relationships with publishers, going to the offices, being sought after, getting bookings without actually having to audition for every single one of them. And so you were a kind of a golden spoon narrator, but but you worked at each stage of your career, and I've watched you because I wasn't there for the beginning stage, but I watched you change with the industry and meet it head on. And that I think is so impressive because I see people struggle with that. I see people that started in those days. Well, why can't I just go meet the publishers? Why are all these people joined in COVID? What's going on with the competition? They're taking our jobs. There's a lot of resistance because people find change difficult. And you have studied each pivot point and have avoided the trap of you've avoided the trap of being left behind. And I'd love to hear about that journey from you, like what it feels like and what it looks like. Let's start with, because there were several, I think, audiobook pivot points, weren't there? There was the COVID hit and everyone started working in studios. We all were already, but it changed the industry. And then after that, everyone's fears about AI. And then most recently, the author approval, TikTok voices, you're not necessarily being judged by the same things, and you're not necessarily being hired by the casting directors who know you and know you well. You're being hired by the authors who get to listen to most auditions now. So can you tell me how you approach that and what your mindset is? Because you do it like a master, and I think we could all learn from you.
Oh my goodness, you do me such honor, Daniela, and you are just magnificence and elegance and grace personified. You really are.
Thank you.
You are the whole model of, which we might allude to a little later on, my clubhouse adventures
Oh
are
yeah, we're
they're
definitely going to
based on
allude to
you.
that.
But you are the inspiration, and I watched you and just marveled at you for so many years. So that's one thing that kind of comes in the journey and the evolution, but you must get full credit for that. Um,
But can I interject here? There is yet another example of what I've been talking about. You no, but it is. And because you started your show very, very early. I mean, at this point, like a lot of people have done it, but you started your show very early. And whether or not, so maybe you saw me do it, but you immediately thought, okay, how can I learn and take this and then brand it and do it my own way? Every single step of the way, you've maintained an open mind and utilized the changes in the industry. That I mean, it's got to be the way you talk to yourself because that takes some serious resilience.
well, it's many years from when you started Cup of Joe and I began Narrator Uplift. many, many, many years, and me thinking to myself, my goodness, I've been doing this so long, I have to come forwards. What can I do that I can commit to? And so Clubhouse to me was the simplest. It was the line of least resistance. It was something I could turn up every 2 weeks. That I was smart enough, that I will give that. I was smart enough to know it wasn't something that would be sustainable week after week after week. But 2 weeks, yes, I could do that. An hour every 2 weeks, I could do that. Um, so I very carefully chose what I felt I could sustain. I don't tend to embark upon fool's projects that I know I'm neither capable of nor have the fortitude to stick with the program. I tend to watch things from the sidelines for a long, 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 long time, and have missed many a boat or kind of been late to the party many times because of that. But once I get to the party, I'm there, and I stay for the duration. So it's swings and roundabouts, isn't it? For instance, with I missed the boat really. And let me first say that yes, it was golden spoon times at the very beginning in some ways, but I was never one that was, knocking on doors and saying, "Hi, it's Anne here," blah 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 blah. Blah. No, 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 no.
And I have to be careful when I use that expression. I'm not saying that people that have publisher relationships would just got it for nothing. I mean, they all worked very hard from the very
But
beginning.
it
So,
wasn't. I don't think it has the. My path didn't. Yeah, I
yeah.
maybe had one book a year for the first couple, three, four. I don't even know. So it wasn't even really a career. It's just I had embarked on this and I wasn't going to let it go. And I just kept growing along. No, you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've never been, I honestly can't take that. I've never had a golden spoon. But times were easier. There were less people, so it was easier just to find out, well, what do we do? Because I didn't even have an acting background. So I had to learn everything from the beginning slowly, because that's the only way that I can. And there was something I was going to say that's gone out of my head now. About Clubhouse, maybe it was. I forget.
Watching
Oh yeah,
things from the
no,
side, oh,
yeah.
missing
A
out
point
on
where I
things.
nearly missed the boat for a really big, big pivotal point was when we all went home studios. I didn't know. It took me a long time to figure out how was I going to make that happen. So by following social media and looking on Facebook and joining all the different groups and so forth, I was able to lurk on the sidelines and piece together a plan. But it took me years to concoct that plan, and then probably a few more years to work up the courage to get in touch with the people I had identified as the people that could help me, such as the George Whittams, and his name is on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me, but he owned Mosaic. Zach Harries, who owned Mosaic before Amy Rubinate did, um, and he was somebody that we all looked at as being somebody who was a great teacher and could set up our systems and that kind of a thing. So all of that took me a long, long time, and I think I'm right in saying it was only 2015. So really, honestly, you could say, even though I started in 1996, I didn't really become what we all are until 2015. But that's still a long
But
time ago. Yeah.
again, you've just completely proven what I was saying. You became, but because I think a lot of narrators see themselves as, oh, I was this way. This is the way it's supposed to be. And then, like when I started, it was the home studio. It was right at the beginning because I was recording for the RNIB in 2013,
Mhm.
but I only started recording at home seriously 2000 end of 2015.
Mhm.
And then I had my studio from the beginning.
Yep.
And you mentally became one of the narrators working from their home studio. You've rebranded and reinvented yourself so many times. Now, did you feel stress during those transitions?
Yes.
Did you feel
Yeah.
fear? And
Yes.
then what did you say to yourself that enabled you to see it through? Because you were one of those people that makes everything look very easy. So,
No.
so
Well,
if we
thankfully.
can find out how you talk to yourself, maybe we can do it too.
Oh, bless you. Well, you've already done it. See, I'm just always late to the party. Really, Daniela, it's by not jumping into things head first. It's by dark nights of the soul kind of a thing. It's about fighting resistance, because along this journey to, am I going to do the thing, because I'm thinking, am I going to do this, am I going to make this leap? And of course, as things have gone on, you see, you either go along with the program, or you just fold up your tent and you go home and you do something else. So I'm in it now for the long haul, and no, I can't foresee any more leaps that can be any more, or take any more from me. That's not the right terminology, because that sounds so negative. um, I can't imagine anything coming up can be any more difficult than what I've already been through, vis-a-vis learning skills. And now we're such a bigger body that I don't know that huge changes can really come to a huge body of people when it's just a handful of, or relatively, you know what I mean? It's different.
Yeah.
But a mass has got its own weight and its own bodies, and standards, and I don't know. It's just different.
There
So
are new challenges though, because if you talk
yeah,
about the
there
mass,
always, there always will be, always.
proving we are who we are. I reach out to writers, and I just had one who I'm going to do a book for, and he said, I can't believe I answered your email. I get so many spam emails every day. I just delete, delete, delete.
Mhm.
So it's like, how do you, in the space of one email,
Yeah.
no, really, I'm human.
Yes.
Really, I am. I swear I am. You know what I mean? It's those kind of challenges. We're all going to have, but I'm, like you said, I'm not going to,
Mm.
there's power in a writer and a narrator
Mm.
creating something. There is such power, and I'm not going to give that up.
No,
And
no.
I'm going to find them somehow. If I
Yeah.
have to reinterpret the way I introduce myself, if I have to stand up in a public square in a costume and say I'm real, I'll do it. But I'm going to communicate. I'm not going to let the digital world cut me off from that, or the business world.
No, and it won't. And let me back you up in that very idea, because it's very funny that you bring up this idea. This happened to me very recently, and thank goodness for cell phones, because um, I'm sure you've noticed, when an email comes in on your cell phone, it doesn't really identify at first glance. And my eyesight is not the greatest, and so when I'm looking at it, I don't know whether this is a for real email or it's even gone into the junk pile. So I got an email that had really gone to spam, but the broad message of it had already entered my consciousness as a real proposition, which it turned out to be. But when I opened it up, and I would have missed this whole opportunity, and it could be a life-changing kind of a book for the author and for me, um, if I had just disregarded it as spam. But when I did open it up to kind of test its waters, test its veracity, I didn't click on, I thought, well, if I don't click on any links within this, because there were several, there was a link to the book. I can't remember all the links that there were, but anyway, there were several links. And I thought, well, if I don't directly click within the email, if I just write these out, or kind of, or just, what's the name of the book? And then I'll go to Amazon and I'll
Yeah.
find it that way. So I was fairly sure this was for real, and it was for real. But I
Oh,
could have
that's
missed out on
amazing.
that if I had been too skeptical. You see what I mean? So it was about, what was that expression? I don't know. Kind of something but verify. Be cautious but verify is
Oh
something along
yeah,
those lines. Be open but I don't know. So
yeah,
I do.
I think we all know exactly what it is, and it's on the
What
tip
it,
of all of our
yeah,
tongue.
yes, yes, yes. Trust but verify, something along those lines. So that was only by the grace of when it came to my brain. I'm looking at this and it looks like it's a real thing, but it was in spam. That wasn't apparent to me when it first hit my consciousness. And so then when I opened it in spam and tested out all the different links, yes, this was for real. And
Yeah, we're having to, yeah, that's the thing. We're having to get smarter than, because recently there was a thing with um some spammer was emailing
Oh,
writers saying they were a narrator, and then they'd get them on a Zoom call, and then they wouldn't, the real person's not here, but the assistant's here.
yes,
And trying, so basically they want you to send your money here, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
And this person's like, and a lot of narrators are like, put these in the writers groups. We won't reach out to you like that. But I'm sitting here going, but hold on, I am reaching out to them.
Mm,
And it's already hard enough to not have them assume I'm a spammer. So what I've done is I've now put on my website, and on the top, I'm going to make sure it's pinned on the top of my Instagram page, you know, narrators do reach out, verify.
mm, mm,
I will always reach out from this email address. You can check it on my website.
mm,
Check, and I just, the one I just signed on with yesterday, I sent him an email. He sent me a message, direct message through Instagram. He
mm,
said, I wanted to check that it was actually you,
mhm,
because it's too good to be true these days, because they always hear, you know, narrators won't reach it. I think the big challenge we're going to have currently is nobody knows, nobody trusts
mhm,
for good reason.
mhm,
They think it's too good to be true. They think you're not real.
mhm,
And they feel like they have to protect themselves from this onslaught. And it's our job, I think, to be so real,
mhm.
to be so us,
Yes,
that we're undeniable.
exactly, exactly, Daniela. And the thing I want to stress about this didn't, I haven't in my lifetime had a great many authors reaching out to me, but there are becoming more and more. And
Yeah.
that's just because of being just showing up, showing up, showing up. And in fact, I think it was only this year I really started to embrace Instagram because I've had to. This again, I look how late I am to this party. But it all comes, and I just have to believe that my resistance, because I obviously have a lot of resistance, has served me. I don't know. Could I have been a lot further along? Maybe I could have done. Would it have been sustainable? Was I ready? But I am ready now. So I don't
But
know. It's just,
they're different approaches.
mhm.
I can safely say I have never been late to any party. I jump every single gun that's possible to jump.
Mm, mm.
I send the instant message. I have a delay on my email to stop me regretting, and I ignore it and send it anyway. I have never, ever, ever erred on the side of caution with anything. But there's two sides to the coin. I
Yes.
mean, whereas you might have missed a few things. There are a few things that really would have been lovely for me to have missed.
Well, we're different people. We are
Yeah.
completely different people,
Yeah.
but we still have had long careers and we're still here and we're still
I
part
think
of the party and the conversation. And, your party
hanging
is my,
on.
we're all at the party contributing
Yeah.
what we have.
Yeah. We're hanging on. And conversations like this
Hmm.
will help people in the audience recognize the different, like there's a book out, and I think it's Neil Helliger's narrated it. I've
Oh,
pre-ordered it on Audible. I cannot wait to see it, because it's, you know how there's introverts and extroverts?
yes.
There's an autrovert, I can't remember the name of it, right? And this psychologist talks about people that don't relate to the herd, people that don't crave a feeling of connection with large groups, that like, I can't think of anything worse than a holiday with a bunch of close friends. I cringe. I I just like, I have a few good friends, but society makes you think if you're not one of those people that wants tons of human connection, that there's something wrong with you, that's not healthy. You're going to pretty much die very early, miserable, lonely under a bridge, eaten by your cats. But this book's coming out. I'm so, so excited about it. And it makes me think of how you and I are like, we're kind of polar opposites personality wise.
Yes.
And I have never had a conversation with you that I didn't like learn something and feel like, oh, she's my people. You know what I mean? You don't have to be the same.
No, 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 no. So I suppose I'm a good person to talk to about resistance and how it isn't easy to get from A to B. Um, and I just say there's no need to rush. I don't feel that there, it depends. I shouldn't say, for me, there isn't a need to rush. Um, I have to have caution in my nature for some reason. I don't know. It just suits my style.
But do
And
you
what
have
you can do,
confidence? Do you have confidence that you'll eventually get where you need to go?
yes, I do now. I didn't when I was starting out. I just knew I was going to stay in it as long as I possibly could. But that's about as best, that was all I could. I couldn't even control that. But I could keep doing what I was, told was the thing to do, send out the big envelopes with cassettes and letters and whatever it was you were supposed to do. I was always doing it.
I remember you telling. I remember Sean Pratt telling me when I joined, because he's like the first coach I had, you go to Sean Pratt and he said that he's shocked at how many narrators just can't keep it up and they quit right before maybe something could have happened. And right at that moment, I think it was like my second meeting with him, I immediately, and I'm the picture in my head, I thought, I'm hanging on. They're going to have to pry my cold, dead fingers off this thing before I'm letting go. If,
Yes,
it's is it Will Smith? You get on the treadmill, I get on the treadmill. You might be better and faster and stronger and smarter on that treadmill, but either you get off your treadmill first or I'm going to die on my treadmill because
right.
I'm not giving up.
No, no, no. And it's almost like talent is the smallest part of it in
Yeah.
some ways. There's a lot of
Yeah.
luck, there's a lot of business mindedness, just and not even to glorify it, just a lot of hard work sending out the emails. I mean, it's really very simple, but it takes your whole life. I've said it again. Said it before. I say it again. This isn't a job. It's a lifestyle. It's my every waking, breathing act. There's a thought about where am I going with my work.
And where you go, do you not find it's all tied together? I really hate this, but it's all tied together with how you feel
Mm.
because when I started, I was oblivious and I booked everything. And I mean, I know like when you're new booking everything, you're really excited about that keto email and that 30-minute keto thing, whatever. Everything is relative. But when you're oblivious, it's almost easier. When you're new and hungry and you're like, oh my God, I'm amazing. These writers are hiring me for their books. But then the longer you learn, take all the advice and do the coaching and you're always open to advice, you start to think, am I being flat enough? Am I in the moment enough? Have I pulled back enough? Should I try to sound quirkier? That's my Achilles heel. God, the script calls for quirky. I can't stand quirky. Why am I trying to sound quirky? Just read the lines. You
Right.
can get yourself in
Yes,
your head, can't you?
you can, but because I went so many years without any coaching and just having to kind of fumble along, when coaching did come or whatever, it can't have the same place in my head that it had in yours. Or maybe my ego has grown a little stronger because whether I have the coach, and that'll go on the wrong kind of an end. Um, I've kind of figured out a way to be, and then the coaching is gilding on the lily. There's always more to learn, and I love learning.
Yeah.
But it can't be. No one thing is the be all and end all of this. There are so many facets to it. You can have all the coaching you like, or and be not sending out your emails, and nobody's going to hear your voice.
I think learning, that's a good distinction. That's a brilliant
Learning.
distinction because when you go to coaching, you're going to learning. I'm
Yeah.
going to coaching to fix.
No,
I
you're
only
not.
go to coaching the minute I feel worried about something. because otherwise you're just busy. And, you know, learning is a much better way to approach it. That's how I used to do it in acting. Just go to learn for the fun of it.
Well, why do you think it's different to acting?
You know what I dislike? And I'm old enough and ugly enough to like admit this to myself. Because I used to think, oh God, that made me a bad actress. When I was acting, I loved acting classes, loved, loved, loved them. Could do anything in front of a class. And I recently had a voice coach who teaches actors on set. He's a voice coach for actors on set and brought so much out, so positive. And what I realized comparing that is when you go to audiobook coaching, in a lot of instances, and it works for people really well, read the script and they'll help you identify where you need to improve.
Mhm.
Well, if I'm on a
In
Zoom
their
call with,
opinion, but they all
yeah,
have different takes,
right.
and so
But they're also not getting a real read from me because if I'm on a Zoom call with you, I am not thinking I can tell you anything about my script. I am thinking about entertaining you on the Zoom call because you're my guest.
yes,
I'm not in the booth. I'm
no,
not, but then I thought, well, you can't admit that because that means you're not a real actor. Because if you're a real actor, you can turn that off. But no, I think you have to be in a supportive, I think when you're learning, you have to be in a supportive atmosphere where you don't feel and it's nothing to do with the coaches doing anything wrong.
no,
It's
no,
to do
no.
with everyone has different learning styles.
Yes, and there are different coaches, and we're all human, and we all have different strengths.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
finding that marriage made in heaven. But my cookie was very well baked by the time coaching became a thing.
yeah,
And there's just comfort in being around something. You'll know no matter what, you'll survive. You know, it's
yeah.
like,
I
can you
think,
drive the car better? Yes, always, always, always. There's never an end point. But will I get from A to B? Yes, I will.
what about the business though? Because we see me with the acting, I don't actually seek coaching for the acting. It's the business.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. I'm
Yeah.
never had to run my own business. Was that natural for you? Because that's what we're
No,
doing, running our own business, and I hate it.
right. I learned everything I learned wasn't at kindergarten. It was when, at the beginning, before I got to acting, what brought me to acting was selling cosmetics because it was at the time of the 1990s, it was the rise of the home based business. And I got a library book where all my breakthroughs have come at the library with a library book. And I
I
read,
love you so much, Anne Flosnik. I love you. You are you're
you.
delightful like Richard Simmons is delightful. That is just wonderful. Keep going. Sorry.
I have a little girl because of a library book, just follow instructions. That's all it is. It's all quite. That was one of the big things, my little girl. Anyway, so back to this. So within all of the possible home-based businesses I could have done, there was selling Oriflamme, which was a European skincare and makeup company. And I've always loved skincare and putting makeup on both myself and anybody else that would let me near them. I just loved that. And so I thought, I can do that. I'm going to do it. So I did. And like everything else I do, I studied up. I got every book in the library about how do I run a business. And it's the same thing. You've got to reach out beyond the people that know you. You've got to keep on, building your base all the time. And I got all the way up to the silver galaxy of stars. I mean, I did very well because I had no business background and nobody to teach me but myself in these books. So,
Wow.
and it was the foundation of all this acting. And so I had to drive myself. It was like auditions. It was all acting, turning up at a certain address at a certain time, and everybody was going to be looking at you. And I was so embarrassed and shy. That was a big barrier. And again, just by repetition of putting myself out there, I'm the expert. Act enthusiastic and you feel enthusiastic. Dale Carnegie. That was one of the books I imbibed. Um, so I did that, and through doing that, I met a hypnotist, and she was down at it's not the fact that she could have been anything, but the fact was, she was down at a local access TV station, and I went and I did some kind of an audition. This was where it all started, where that word and actors, there were real actors and real actresses down there. And what did you do to become a real actress? Well, you got to get a headshot, and you got to get a resume, and you had to have a teacher. So then I got my voice lessons. That was back 1993. And I gave myself 6 months at that, because that was like a psychiatrist's couch in a way. I could still be going, and you know what I mean? And there'd still be a million miles of things to learn. But I had to be sensible. I had two children. I had a newborn baby and a 2-year-old. My husband and I were
Wow.
both working night shifts, and I was getting sick with an autoimmune thing that just went on for years, with just you just kind of slowly losing all your mojo. It was the worst time, but that's usually the best time, because if you can get through the lowest times in your life with a dream or a vision or a goal, you're going to do it. I listened to Anthony Robbins on my way to work as a nurse. I was working 12-hour night shifts, and it was Awaken the Giant Within. And the thing he said about you can change your life in a minute, because you just have to make the choice. I'm not going to be the way I was. I'm going to be whatever it is. And then you just start taking action. And that if you keep on going the way that you're going, which isn't pleasing to you, that's all you're going to get. And so what's your life going to be like 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Look down the line.
Do you
And I
think the
watched.
autoimmune disease was, aside from biology, partially that your body was in a panic, your nervous system was scared, and it was affecting your body?
Possibly this particular one, though, it's often the result of a pregnancy, because
Oh,
it
okay.
just puts
So,
your hormones into a whole da 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 da. And that was all. This was the whole time it was all unfolding. It was everything. two year
yeah,
old,
yeah.
newborn baby. I was ill. It was, yeah. But I can't go on the way I'm going, and it's going to take my action. I can't just lie in bed and think, oh, woe is me, my life is over.
You pulled yourself out of it. You have to
I have
become the
to.
person you want to be to get rid of the person you used to be.
Yes, and again books, and this time an audiobook. So it was Anthony Robbins was spurring me on with, practical advice about what I was going to do, which a lot of it is just within the mind. It's all about making decisions. Things that are going to take years, they start with that, I'm not going to think that way anymore. And not that you're not going to think and be pulled back. It's a constant fight. It's a daily fight. It is to this day.
Yeah.
But I either want what I have and keep working towards it, or I just take my hands off the wheel and say, I'm not going to play anymore. What do you do?
I'm I'm a big believer in, because there's a book called Constructive Living, which have just David K. Reynolds, I think is the name of the author. I've never ever forgotten that book. It went straight to my heart. And it's about the action. It's about there is always the next best thing to be done. There's right in front of you at any moment, no matter what you're feeling or thinking or doing, there is the best thing you should be doing right now.
Mhm.
And if you do it, he actually checked himself into a hospital and gave himself depression, like put himself in a hospital, and it was like an experiment to, like, the clinical depression. I mean, he put himself in a bad state, and then he started taking action. Take the action first, and then you feel better afterwards.
Mhm.
But I think we expect to feel better and then we'll take the action.
Yes.
I,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that way sometimes with work. If I'm worried about something, if I can just get a break this week and something can go my way, then I'll feel motivated and great. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I have to get up and take a damn 3 hour walk every single morning,
Mhm.
whether I want to or not,
Mhm.
because I will feel better later.
Yeah.
Never before the walk or even during the walk.
Right.
Later.
That's right. But I think it's very important to do things that are authentic to ourselves and our personalities. So the way
Yeah.
that you will go about things will not be the same way that I will. I am prepared to sit on the sideline and figure it out and take the time it takes, rather than, for me, what would be running headlong into a bull, making, not to say that I'm never going to make mistakes because everything is so considered, but it does put the odds in my favor
Yeah.
that I yeah, and I've kind of identified like who are the teachers I'm going to have, what's the equipment I'm going to buy. That all takes a long, long time of watching what the Facebook people said, and you know,
Really?
yeah,
Really see that I tried to be like that. I think you're right. You
no,
have to find out who you are
yeah,
temperamentally
don't do it.
because
No,
it
no, no,
made
no,
me
no,
unhappy. It made me feel like my instinct was wrong and
mm,
they were right, whoever they
no,
is.
no,
Made
no.
me unhappy.
Yes, that's right. So that's why I'm pointing this out, Daniela, because
Yeah.
your road to success is the opposite of mine, and
Yeah.
both are valid, and we both get there in the end,
Yeah. We
and
just
feel
have
good
to
about
pick which one
ourselves
works
because
for
it has
us.
to be in line with who we are.
That's why I have such an issue with when new people start and they start coach hopping, but they're not getting coaches because of like something they want to learn or something they admire. They're getting coaches because they think that if I meet this coach, I'll get more jobs. That other people went to this coach. If I go to this coach, they're trying,
Mm,
you know, what is the thing where the trace, you get the famous painting and you get the kit and you can trace it and get a copy of the famous painting. I feel like some people approach their audiobook career that way.
ooh,
They're not thinking what I want, what I like. You know, the question of what's your best genre? You can't do everything,
mm,
right? If you're getting in touch with yourself and working and recording and practicing and doing auditions, it becomes clear, doesn't it?
mhm.
What you're good at. But if you join it as a business and you're just copying the other business people so that you can make the most money and get the most high profile jobs on earth, I don't, I mean, you're right. Maybe people are different and that's a valid way to be. And maybe I should stop hating on people that are digital marketers. Maybe I can learn from them. Kim says, or chase a genre because that sells. Right? That's it.
Mm,
I'm a purist.
mhm.
I don't know, Anne. I'm getting myself into a verbal
No,
hole.
no, no, no,
Please
no,
say
no, no,
something
no,
and
no,
bail me out.
no. Well, and again, when I started, we did everything. We even read magazines. You know, there was nothing. As long as it wasn't American, I was given anything and everything.
Yeah,
That, and even it, there might be a main character and there will be Americans in it, but obviously they had a whole host of American narrators to choose from, but we had to read everything. But
yeah.
obviously, so you knew that you could do a decent job, but some things are obviously much more you're better for. But we just had all those early narrators were exposed to, we read everything. Not to say that some things are better, just better, you know?
Yeah, because you had, that's right, because that's another difference in the business, right? Because
Yes,
there was more going around, so you got a chance to do a little bit of everything.
yes,
But saying that new narrators now could try a little bit of everything. You can reach out to writers in different genres. You can do auditions in different genres. You're not yet working with the publishers if you're brand new. You can do public domain. You can try out everything. But 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 to me the element that I think is so important is engaging in the craft.
yes, yes.
Right? Now, I think that's missing. I think people are engaging in the business as opposed to the craft.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, don't most people that start this, they know the kind of stories they want to tell, whether it's fairy tales or gothic romance or whatever. I think most people starting out love telling stories, so they
I
must
hope so. I hope so. I think maybe
have.
I'm being influenced by what I see on social media. And because on social media, you just see the branding and the marketing, which is why it's good that I'm not looking,
But you
scrolling very
see,
much.
I don't get influenced by that, Daniela. I don't. I'm just
Yeah.
running my own race. And I have to obviously observe the general field, but I don't get maybe down in the nitty gritty the way that you do, and then start seeing, well, how do I stack up against that? And you see what I mean? Because all I
Yeah.
want is a general picture, because there isn't time.
You see, I've stopped looking at it at all because I don't think I'm capable. I don't think I am. It really affects me.
Mm.
It
It doesn't affect me.
sends me into, just mentally a negative place. I think the algorithms are set up to trigger prejudices and thoughts and strong feelings, and I get emotions very easily off other people. So
Yeah.
if I go into a group and somebody's putting up one of those posts about how they're having a really hard time in a dry spell, I will fall down the trap of reading the 600 messages of other people that are also going through a hard time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like my brain, I think I'm a very smart person, but
You
I
are.
think I'm not good at protecting myself from other people's emotions, even online.
But you've identified now that that is an area of concern, and you are starting to like an
Oh
or
yeah, I'm not allowed on Facebook anymore. I can't be trusted without a supervisor. I'm
well,
not,
that's good to know.
I'm
That's
I'm
fine.
not allowed on Facebook or Instagram. I do not scroll. I post about books
Mhm.
and that's it. I'm allowed on Messenger because those are friends reaching out to me directly, but I am not allowed to read group posts. A few times I've cheated and I have been immediately up all night till 3 in the morning. And when I do go to sleep, I have dreams about like AI and things coming to the door. It's like stupid. Fights that I couldn't care less about. It's like other people's like fights. Like I couldn't care less. Don't even get me started on threads. It's the writers. They can really get into it.
I'm sure every group can get into it.
Yeah.
And really, all of these things, there's just sales is behind it, isn't it? But it's
Yeah.
part of our business. So it has to, for me, I have to consider it. But look how late I left Instagram.
Yeah.
It's really only this year. I suppose, the
But
tail end of
what do you
last year.
get from it? What do you
I don't know, but
actually
I feel like I've joined that party, just sitting in a corner with it, but sitting by the sidelines and just taking it all in. But somebody will eventually come over and give me offer me a drink, or that's just the way it goes.
You see, I don't feel like I'm missing anything
No,
not
you're
seeing
not.
the posts.
No, no, no. What if I get? I don't know. That's it. I'll have to think about. Have I gained anything? I don't know, but I think I've become a little bit more visible, and I had had more authors reaching out to me, like the one I almost missed, which I have to believe is because I'm coming over the parapet a little bit more clearly.
Oh, I do. Don't get me wrong. I still post.
Mm-hmm.
My rule is I
Mm,
post. I post
scrolling.
about
Yeah.
books. I post about you guys. I post about upcoming things. And then I run away really, really, really quickly.
Yes.
So, like, I post about myself.
Mhm.
I'm a creator, not a consumer.
Yes. Smart.
I'm not taking in
Hmm.
other people. I used to go to the big groups and frantically read to make sure I understood how things were. And it stopped me owning my own wisdom.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I
So
was no
you're very
longer
affected by other
deciding.
people, Daniela,
Yeah.
and I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
just, I'm not. I keep my own counsel.
Yeah.
So I can engage, I think, but yeah, and the whole thing wants it to take over your life. Well, it's not going to take over mine.
Yeah.
Not at this point. No, no.
Yeah, and I love that. I think out of everything out of this call, that is huge. I mean, you
Self-knowledge
know,
is everything.
the difference between people and the difference between reactions, right?
Mhm.
And literally nothing's wrong and nothing's right,
No,
but it's knowing ourselves.
yes. And you have to protect yourself. That is the
Yeah.
you really do. To yourself be true. That's all it is. And there are a
Yeah.
million ways to operate within that framework of just being true to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just a
And I,
belief that things have to turn out right in the end with honest, good effort.
and I don't regret the time that I spent being a consumer on social media. I have quite a lot of Mongolian faux fur coats,
Oh,
and I do. I've got them in
oh,
every color. But also, I have some dear friends. And we wouldn't have a cup of Joe, would we, if it weren't for social media? So it's like I feel like some of my dearest friends are in the audiobook world online. It's not that I don't like them. It's just the big groups of people. I know that I have to protect myself. I'm not good at sheltering myself from other people's emotions.
Hmm.
Fear is a big one for me, and scarcity. I have to stay away from fear and scarcity. I spend all morning listening to podcasts.
Mm.
You know, there was an exercise. You'll like this one. I really like it. For money, I'm going to try this one. It sounded really interesting. What was it? She said that every day you have to spend $10,000, right? Every day for 10 days. And at midnight, you lose that $10,000. So if you don't spend it, you lose it. So it's like a mental, like, so you sit down with the paper, online shopping, whatever. What are you going to spend that 10,000 on today?
Mm.
You write it all out, you lose whatever you don't spend. And every day it's your challenge to find more. I think she did it for 30 days, something else to spend $10,000 on. And I think it's supposed to activate your imagination, what you can,
Mm.
the world of possibilities, because don't we do that with like news, but just in not a nice way? Activate what could happen, what could go wrong, but we
Catastrophize.
never do it for like what could go. And the other thing is, you know, the expression, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Mm.
I think it
But
was Kadji or Paget or something. I'm gonna get her name wrong. But I love this. If it can go right, it will. Isn't that great?
yes.
If it can go right, it will. That's what you remind me of. Are you always really, really positive, or do you ever
No,
become just a negative Nelly? Because I can't imagine you being negative.
I have to fight it, Daniela. I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I suppose it's just that thing of taking a step back. So I take big and long enough steps back that I have time to go through all the emotions to come out to what is the answer for me, which is going to be positive motion forward, or maybe deciding, well, all my senses are telling me this is not a good, or whatever little aspect of, because the whole thing is set. I'm on my course now and I'm very happy with that. But there are pieces along the way that I'll come along, like my resistance to Instagram that went on and on for such a long time. But I eventually felt it's costing me more avoiding this than it is just to engage to whatever little limited degree that I can. And let's see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? And it still mystifies me completely. It makes no sense. I don't understand how it operates. And it's so cumbersome in that you've got to get that picture out of goodness knows. Everything's got to go in photographs, and it's all the big. It really is a palaver. So I'm kind of I'm in a paddling pool. It's really probably quite dangerous. You know what I mean? I could quite easily drown because I do not know what I'm doing, but I'm prepared to invest a little bit of effort. And then again, with repetition, things get a little bit easier. But I'm still really completely mystified by it. But I'll go along because it's part of being green and growing rather than ripe and rotten.
Do you know Jonathan Tilley? Do you know who Jonathan Tilley
I've
is?
heard of him, yes.
You
Yes.
should check out his website and see, because I don't know when his next one will be, but he used to have competition, not competition, but like a challenge kind of thing, Instagram, whereas like it was quite intense, but for 30 days, he would give you videos explaining every single little thing about Instagram.
Oh.
And it was really, really a ton of information, really good quality information. I know a lot of people that did it. I like signed up and then quit after the first day because I have the attention span of a fly, but not any reflection on his course. So if you're interested in Instagram, to me, I love Instagram just because it's like pretty pictures and I love videos. You know me, I love videos.
Mhm.
Um, but I probably should try a little harder to make things fit the screen. And I'm like, but I don't have a lot of attention for it. I'll just post things on it.
Oh, but
And
you are a media whiz.
I
You
love
have done all these
videos.
kinds of things, while I could barely peck out my name on keyboard.
Uh,
So
See,
yeah.
I think you're great. I never even noticed that like you weren't. Isn't it funny how the way we appear to the rest of the world is different than the way we appear to ourselves? Like the world you see, Anne's world, is totally different than the world we all imagine Anne's world being.
Well, because it's a very curated little peak that goes out after
Mm.
much, you know, wringing of hands and gnashing of teeth. For instance, so to me, one of the biggest things I did on Instagram in February, when I was celebrating my 30th year, I was thinking for a long time, what am I going to do to celebrate that? So I'm going to do a little reel on Instagram in real time. And it
Oh,
and it
lovely.
was it was so was effortless, Daniela, because I thought about it so much. It was coming from my heart. But that's not the kind of thing I can authentically do every day. But that was easy. And I did it. And it was perfect. To me, it just, the heavens were with me. Because when I started, the day I started, there was a blizzard and there was snow on the ground when I did this to mark the day because it was the same time of year. It was just, I really enjoyed doing that. And it flew out of me. And I didn't
But
censor myself. I did it once and that was it.
so that's why I do things immediately,
Okay.
because if I hold on to something, then I start to think about it and then I never do it.
You talk yourself
So
out of it. Are you going
how
to?
do you not talk yourself out of
No, I
things?
talk myself into it, maybe, or I will talk myself out of it. It's one or the other. With that, it was
Mm,
just something I felt I had to show up for myself to say, I've done this, anything for 30 years is something. You get a gold watch normally for that.
that is
30 years
lovely though.
something. Yeah. So I just wanted to let it mark as a piece of personal history for me, for my family.
I
That's
love
what.
that. So you talk yourself into things because I don't ever.
Sometimes.
I think we all have our lower self. And I heard this somewhere the other day and it's so true. My lower self is that old uncle, kind of, he spent his life in and out of jail. He's got a bit of a problem with alcohol. He shows up at your house, he sits at your table. And if I let myself get too tired or too overworked, right, or start getting that old uncle of mine, I call him Al, my lower brain, he'll sit at that table, he'll go, right, here's my advice for your life. And I listen to him.
You know better. You know better.
Yeah.
So that's on you. You've just got to break the chain. We
Yeah.
all do. Well, it's
But
funny
yeah.
that you say it because something is coming into view at the end of the year. That's all
Okay.
I'll say for now.
Ooh,
And there have been little glimmers of it here and there through the years. There have been things I've done.
yeah.
I just haven't kind of kept it going because there was so many other things to, like exactly your issues. We
We
can't do
have my
everything.
issues.
That sounds pejorative, and it's not meant to. See,
No, I
the
know, I'm
issues that we
joking. I'm
all have,
joking. I love my issues. We all have
we
issues, but
all have
that's my point.
we share many of the same ones. I mean, really, we do. That's the
We
wonderful
all
thing
do,
about it.
but that's the thing. That's why we're all so simpatico. We
Yeah,
all
we're
do.
all in the
Every single
trenches.
one of us.
Yeah.
You know, it's what face we put onto the world and what we tell ourselves when we're away from the world. And those, I think, are the only two different factors. I think there's really only one difference between all of us, every single one of our narrators, and it's what we're telling ourselves when we're alone in that little scared, excited, hopeful place.
Mm.
What we tell ourselves when we're in that place. And that's the only difference between all of us. Even what we post, there's no difference. It's just all of us trying to claim our little spot in the way that we've heard we're supposed to. That's it. We're doing the same job. And I think if I'm generous and if I'm honest, you said something, a correction. I'm finding these crusty bits of my brain, assumptions that I've taken on from having looked at too much social media over the last 10 years. And one of those crusty bits came to light because you're right. I think I see the digital marketing, and that's a lot of us, some are good, some are better, some are obnoxious about it, some are annoying, depending on who's watching. But almost to a fault, narrators don't become narrators to make a quick buck. They
No.
become narrators to tell a story
Mhm.
and
And
to
the things,
connect.
the lengths that we have to go to in order to keep doing that are
Yeah. That's
very
all it is,
commendable.
isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. And the people I'm seeing that I think annoy me so much, they're just trying to find their way to
yeah.
keep going. And they're imitating the digital world
Mm,
to try to resuscitate and keep this going.
mhm.
We're all crack addicts just trying to get our next fix.
Yes, yes. And the but the talent pool just keeps, it's exponentially getting bigger.
I see, I
So
don't, do you think that's true though?
yes, yeah, oh
But
gosh, yeah,
why are we saying that?
because
Because
I think it's true.
haven't narrators fallen off? Because I keep hearing all the scarcity things and narrators not doing it so much anymore. So I don't understand why everyone's saying there's so many more people if there's not that much more business. How are there so many more people? It seems to me that it would have fallen off after COVID.
Because it still remains, excuse me, the one area of acting that we have the most control over in this
Mm,
uncontrollable sphere of things. Audiobook narrators do have the most control. There aren't the same gatekeepers, there aren't the same barriers.
mm.
It's doable. I mean, it really is, with enough, a bit of talent and determination and figuring it out. Most people can have some kind of a career, I postulate.
I don't, and this is a really positive, my brain feels very positive that there isn't as much competition
Mhm.
as everyone thinks there is. I think that there might be greater numbers of narrators, but they're not doing greater amounts of books, and that there's a difference between doing a couple of books and being an audiobook narrator with a career.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think that if you're a career narrator, you don't have as much competition as we had during COVID because people were needing it and during COVID because they had nothing else. They were unable to work. They had to work from home. But I think now, as it gets harder to book and a booking is becoming a different gig, it's a
Mhm.
different challenge.
Mhm.
I think that people are finding other ways to make a living and they're doing part-time jobs and everything. I think that if you're a career narrator, you're still dealing with the same amount of other career narrators
Mhm.
as you always were. And if we
Yes.
survived COVID, we're fine now. But I think the challenge is that we have to break through the online noise,
Mhm.
break through the scammer noise, just like we do when ACX has another load of scammers reach out. You just break through that.
Mhm.
And I think we also have to be flexible with the whole audition process and the trends in the industry and the trends in casting.
Mhm.
And as you said, when I was like, I'm going to disappear from the world and reinvent myself in November. Okay, I'll tell you guys this. Anne is such a good friend. I said, Anne, can we reschedule this call? Because I've listened to this podcast and I've decided that I'm going to completely disappear from the world for 2 months and come back an entirely new girl like the bros on this podcast are doing. And Anne said, Daniela, don't burn your career up. She said, calm down. You have to keep reaching out,
Mhm.
calmly going,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Just mind your own business, really. Literally, mind your own business.
Please be a coach, Anne. Seriously. I know
Gosh.
I know a lot of people that would go to you. A lot of people.
Oh, well, maybe one day.
No, but on that note, you know what? I can't believe the time's flown so fast.
Oh, wow.
Anne, you thought you were gonna get out of it.
Oh, no.
Can you please, for the audience that's going to be watching this in the next 3,000 years, what would, if they took nothing else away from this call, one piece of advice, what would you leave them with?
Probably, I'm going to say the same thing that I probably have done in other calls. It's really just run your own race.
I know why you and Karen are such good friends. You both always.
Why, is that what she would say?
She says, stay in your own lane.
In your own
And you
lane.
say, run your own race.
Run
But
your
you
own
both
race.
say it a lot. So that's good.
Yeah.
And you're
It's
two of the wisest women I've ever met. So
as are you. And in the, the opposite of us. But I can't put myself in the same realm as Karen, my goodness, with all her technical know-how and so on and so forth. But yeah, we all get that. We're all in here for the long haul, and we all love to tell stories, and that's what binds us. And how we
you're
get there
right.
is just how we get there.
That's the one that we're just here to tell stories. That's it.
Mhm. And
I
we
love
will.
that. That's
And
what
we
binds
are.
us. That's really quite lovely when you think about it. But it is,
Oh,
isn't
Rachel.
it? It's the antidote
Yes,
to this weird world.
yes. And you
Let me
are.
tell you,
So we have to hear your affirmations. So these are give me a deadline now. We're going to make this real. When are you going to do this? When are you going to post them, Daniela? And I will
I'll
hold
send
you
them
to
to you. I've Kim, I think already, because I'm in a group and I posted them. I don't know if anybody, did I delete them or did you actually listen, Kim? I don't know if anybody listened. You listened? Oh my God, I didn't think anyone actually listened. Wait, I can't hear you. Okay, so,
I have them saved.
oh my God,
Listen to
really?
them. Yeah, you said you're like, hey, if you can't listen right now, oh, download them. So I downloaded them, and
That
yeah,
was
I
in
have
my
them on my
bit of a
computer.
do it quick kind of mental thing, and then I forgot all about it. And I said, okay, I'll send them to you after this call, Anne.
Great. Oh my goodness. Well, this is golden. Thank you, Daniela. And then
Gosh,
I'll tell you how wonderful they are. And then in the next breath, you're just going to pull the trigger.
yes, I'll have to learn how. I'll have to learn how, but I'll do
You
it
know
tomorrow.
how. Just do it.
Okay, you guys, this was such a lovely, heartwarming call. Thank you. So I didn't honestly plan on getting personal coaching the entire time, but
We both got it. I got it from you too.
I
Because maybe
think
I
you're what
shouldn't be so thoughtful, or you know what I mean? No, no, I could do with a bit more flamboyance. Let's put it that way.
sometimes I think you're what Mr. Rogers says. He says, look for the
And
helpers,
helpers. Oh God. Oh,
and you're
Danielle,
a
you make me
helper.
cry. No, but can I tell one little quick? Well, it's not a quick story.
Yes, yes.
Something that when you get messages from on high and you kind of feel like you failed in one area, but you're darned if you're going to fail it. This is kind of, yeah. So what happened was, I'm now going to a writing group, and inevitably something happens on the way to it or the way coming home from it. And on the way there, it was this particular story is both of it. On the way there was a vicious dog on my way to the library who normally isn't, I don't have to interface with, but this day I did. And he he or she was contained behind a kind of a 3/4 length fence. So it just felt very, is that going to contain this dog? And he came at me twice from behind his fence because it was a corner house. So there he is at the corner and there he is at the front as I crossed this. Anyway, so that was that. So this is important to me because it's the first animal encounter I have this day. On the way home, um, going up my street, which kind of starts in the town and then goes out into the country, but this was still in the town portion, near a shop was just a little bush, was not much vegetation, but out come a troop of deer, maybe 4 of them. And I maybe calf 3, 4, 5. I'm back a good bit, but I can see something bad is going to happen, and it did.
Oh
Um,
no.
I don't know whether maybe the third deer in line was struck, and I couldn't look too closely because I would have gone out of my mind on the spot. But what I saw was not good, and I thought, what can I do? Nobody's stopping. Um, I know there's an animal hospital up the road. It was a Saturday, and I had a feeling it's going to be shut, but I thought I'm going to go anyway. So I got to the hospital, and there was kind of a bit of a driveway into the animal hospital, and there was an elderly couple, had maybe a rest stop kind of a thing. They were standing outside their truck conversing, and I pull into the parking lot, and it looks shut to me. But I looked up online. Yes, it's Saturday. They weren't even open on Friday, so they were shut. And all I had expected, if they were open, that they would just tell me, what agencies do I call? What do I do? Because I wouldn't expect a vet to come out, Anyway, so I saw the elderly couple, and I was I was borderline hysterical. I really was, just from the whole, this two animal incidents now in the one day, at opposite ends of the pole. We go from something to this beautiful deer. And I said what had happened, just to back up the street. A deer had been hit, and she wasn't dead. What do I do? And so the lady said, call animal control. And I said, I don't think they'd be there on a Saturday. She said, call the police. And I said, well, it's not an emergency. She said, it is to you. That got me crying. And then anyway, so I Googled the local police. I got them, and I said, this isn't an emergency, but there's a deer in the road that was just hit, and she isn't dead, and whatever. So the girl took the, cross streets and all of that, and said, I don't have anybody this minute, but I will send somebody out there. I said, thank you so much, and thank you for all you do. I had to let that go. And it was a bit like when my father died, and I just did what I could, and I had to let it. There's some times in life where you have to just let things go. You've done what you can, and you can't drive yourself out of your mind by going back to see were things implemented the way that you wanted them to be. I had to let that go. I had done all I could. Now we're not done yet. Now I get to my house. We're in kind of the country, and it's a 2-lane street, and the cars are stopped at my house. They're stopped, and there's a big dog that's almost looks like a sheep is running across the road. Just, in the joys, the frolics of spring, I'm free, and just running willy-nilly, and is going to be killed. I have no doubt in my mind.
Oh God.
Yes,
This
Daniela.
isn't going to have a happy ending, is it?
It is. It's going to have a happy
please,
ending.
I need a happy ending at this point.
This is what I'm saying about staying in and trying to be just aware and do what you can. Do what you can where you can. In this instance, I could make it anyway. So the animal was running like mad, and it ran the opposite side of the road and off into a farm. And I just had to let that go, to think those people in that farm will take care of it. That was my immediate thing. And then I pull into my driveway, but I don't get out of my car. I sit in it with the engine going over, because I'm in a state of shock about, can I honestly just let that go? And I can't. So the universe took that out of my hands, because the dog came running down into my house and thing. And she's running this way, she's running that way. She ran under a porch, she ran over the porch, she ran everywhere. And I'm trying to call her and calm her down, kind of a thing, just so that I can go up and pet her. But in my mind now still is, dogs have teeth and they can bite, even though you might not think that they can, whatever the thing. So I had that in my mind, the fear, but I thought, I've got to overcome that. This looks like a beautiful dog, and she needs my help. I have to give it to her. So then she got up onto the porch, and she's still running every which way, but I managed to literally collar her. I had her by the collar, and she had the little tag on it, and on the back of the tag was her name and a telephone number. So I thought, well, if I can take a picture of the number, then I can call the number, but she wouldn't stay still enough. So I called my son, and I said, write down these numbers and send it to me. So he took down the numbers, and he said, when I send it to your mum, all you have to do is press on it and it'll go straight through. So I did that, and then I got the dog's mum, and she said, her husband was just round the corner. He would, and he did. And I had to explain to her what I felt I had to explain, just quickly, that, and what could I say to her? I had to call her back actually about that. But first of all, I explained to her that I was kind of semi-hysterical because a deer had just been hit further down the road, because I did not want her to think that her dog was inconveniencing me in any way.
Right.
And it sounded still kind of hysterical.
That's
very
Irish of you.
I didn't want her to feel bad that she was inconveniencing me.
Yeah.
But I was kind of impressing on her. I felt her, her lovely dog was going to be killed if we didn't do something. She was just running everywhere. So Anyway, the husband came, and I again quickly explained. Oh, no, I called her back though, because the dog, I didn't feel like I was going to be able to hold the dog for the few minutes it was going to take the husband to come. I didn't know how long he was going to be, even though he was round the corner. You know how that goes. Um, so I called her back to say, how do I talk to your dog? And she gave me some good things to say. And that was fine. And then the husband came, and then that was fine. It was all self-explanatory. And I did explain that, I'm all over Twitter because there's a deer down the road that was just hit, and that really upset me. And I'm so glad I was here for your dog today, and whatever the thing, la la. So that's all of that. So that is messages from on high, from the universe. And
But do you know what I take from that? Do you know what I take from that? See the different, we're talking about different personalities and how you hang out and I have to let go of this. I can tell you right now, I would have told the old people in the parking lot about the deer. I would have called the police, and then I would have driven back and been sitting by the roadside, bawling my eyes out, engraving an image in my head that I'd never forget, freaking out about it. I would have missed the dog completely. He would have been dead and run over because I wouldn't have been anywhere near there because I was overreacting instantly to the thing that happened before. And I would have been up all night every night for the next 6 months with flashbacks.
yeah,
But that's where
yeah.
I can learn. Sometimes people that jump immediately, that trait you have of, right, I have to get a handle on this. I can't do anything about it. I have to let it go. And you moved on. That's great. That's
Well, I
resilient.
tried to do what I could, but I couldn't go back and put any more images into my mind that would drive me mad.
Yeah. I
We
would have
have
just
to
driven
learn things
myself
from
mad
Lady
and not done
Macbeth.
any good.
We have to learn from Lady Macbeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
But
lessons learned in school go really, really deep with me,
I
about that
didn't
way
learn the
lies madness.
lessons.
And
I
I
didn't
listened
learn
to
the
her.
lessons. I just keep making their mistakes over and over.
You don't, Daniela. We all make mistakes in different ways. And I don't know that, I'm not saying what I did was right that day. It was the way I have found that
You
is
saved the
safe for me.
dog.
I
You
did.
saved the
I did. I
dog.
did save the dog. I'm so glad about that. She's lovely. She's lovely.
Yeah. You saved the dog. So yes, it was. It was definitely the right move.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. And the poor dear. And I hope she wasn't suffering for very long. And I did what I could. I mean, help was on its way.
yeah.
Maybe somebody.
You literally couldn't, you're right. You literally couldn't have done anything about it. All you would have done is scar yourself,
Mhm, mhm.
you know. Being the drama queen in every situation is not necessarily going to help the situation. It's,
Gosh.
it's, yeah, no, you made the right choice. And it was proven by the fact that you were then in the right place to save the dog.
Yeah, yeah. And I felt good about that. And that's been a theme in my life. Sometimes there are situations have come along that I feel you didn't do the right thing, Anne. And then if anything comes along that remotely resembles those circumstances and I get another chance, and I just hope that, well, you do things for the right reasons, but because we have to keep growing and learning, than just not trying to make the same mistakes when the stakes are high, particularly.
Well, it's what I find difficult, and I'm juggling with it, and I think that's probably because of the age I am. I'm learning things in leaps and bounds.
Mhm.
I'm learning so much every single day. I can honestly say I'm an entirely different person than I was in November.
Mm.
And I'm conscious of 250 phone calls on YouTube. I don't care. Couldn't care less, really. Whereas I'm an entirely different person now than the person I was on those calls. So I am struggling with forgiving myself for not knowing better because like the more you learn, the more you realize you didn't know better before.
Mhm.
So, you know what I mean? So you're like,
Yes.
oh, why couldn't I have been aware of how that person was feeling, being too introspective? I think that's the flip side of growing as a person. When you grow as a person, you have to forgive the person you used to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm saying, that rather than get stuck in the what I didn't do for the one animal,
Yeah.
I was presented immediately with, you can help this one, help it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with forgiving myself for the person I used to be because my head is like, you should
Well,
have known
that
better.
too. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Because different is different, and
Yeah.
different does what different does. But you
And we
are
want to
different
grow. The
now,
alternative is you stay the same person.
right? And you make
And
different
who wants that?
choices now. That's all about choices, Danielle. What we
Yeah.
choose to do or what we choose not to do. Life is
Yeah.
about choices every single minute.
I mean, I think that's my wish for all. May we all, in 6 months' time, look back at who we are today and think, oh my God. You know what I mean? May we all change so much in 6 months that we look back and we feel like different people. I think we should all change all the time.
Well, I think you're doing great just as you are. You
I'll
are.
send you the affirmation things after the call.
Yes.
You
Oh,
tell
I
me what you
can't
think.
wait. It's
And
fabulous.
Kim, thank you for listening. And
Hey,
Kim and Ashley,
Kim.
thank you for joining. And Anne, you are the queen. Mwah!
You are. Mwah.
And
You are the high priestess.
become a coach. Seriously. Have a wonderful day. Bye. Bye.